I felt like a Spanish, like a Puerto Rican in this hair.
Hey, welcome back to Beyond the Porch, Dadalogues Unfiltered. Cody Lancaster back here with you again, and Mr. Krich joining us again as well.
Hope everyone is well.
Guys, this is episode 2. Man, this is exciting. Long time coming. You know, we said, hey, we want to start a podcast, and, well, we're on day 2.
Here we are.
So
Happy to be here. Excited to be doing it too. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. Do a lot of driving for work. Woodford for the win.
So last time, you know, we did a lot of talking about some of our background, kind of introducing ourselves, and today I want to kind of get into some new topics. Manhood today. How would our dad see our parenting and the never-ending takeover of our kids' stuff? Like, but let's talk about some of those toys, right? So we'll go ahead and start diving right into it. So man, that last one, that was a fun episode that we got to do.
I really enjoyed it. It went by so fast. An hour and a half, and just boom, happened.
So cheers, my friend.
Salute.
I felt like we had a pretty good chemistry. I enjoyed the conversations.
For sure, man. It's always a good time.
So I can't promise that we won't have some kids in the background, some noises. Wouldn't be surprised to have some tears, but hey,
they're going hard in there.
Welcome to fatherhood, right?
That's it. It's 24/7.
So to get into this, man, jump into our first topic here is what does it mean to be a man today? A man in today's world, and how are we shaping our kids for that, right?
Sure, and ever changing. I think that you always kind of go back to the simple basics in life, as you know, man provides and protects. I'm blessed enough to be able to do that. Now protect, I've never had to. Hope I never have to, but you know, we'll go there. God forbid the day ever happens. But I think that's just a primal thing, and it's just built into you. That's what you want to do,
right?
So it's got to be right. You know, you feel it. That's what you go with. But
yeah, because like, you know, fatherhood in our generation, fatherhood in our parents' generation, and we go fatherhood, and like, you know, you look back, it's like every generation has been so different. You know, I did some genealogy, tracked my family back, and you know, it's even the way you dress, the way people stood around. You know, I found some old pictures of my family back in the early 1900s, and they're standing in front of like this wood shack. You know, what we would keep our goats in today is what our family used to sleep in.
You know,
no running water.
Were born dirt floor poor, as they say down here.
And you know, and that changed who they were.
For sure, yeah, built
them
too.
Being a man back then was so much different. It was providing, right?
Harder.
You know, and I think we've gotten soft. I think every generation since then has gotten softer.
For sure.
And myself, I feel like I've made my son softer. You know, he's got. I didn't have as much growing up. He's got anything he could want. And I get worried: am I going to turn him into who?
Yeah, too much love can be a good thing,
right?
Loosely speaking, or excuse me, a bad thing. Misspoke. Right. Definitely.
So, you know, I kind of think that I don't know. I worry sometimes on that. Is like, you know, being a man today, it's like, you know, giving your kid everything they want. It's a mixture of I provide, I go to work, I keep the bills paid. And I think that's the bare minimum.
For sure, because you got to be there, you know, in the after hours, the overtime, and I fall short on that a lot, you know, even for the misses and then for the kids. It's like, dude, 12, 14 hours in, and you come home, it's like, what do you got left to give?
Right,
well, knuckle up. You know.
And I also wonder, like, if I look at what we do today, it's like, do we spend more time? You know, is the expectation of being a dad today not just paying the bills, but then it's being at practice, being at the game. You know, it's cheering for them on the weekends on the games,
itching that fiberglass while you're sitting there sweating in the stands. Yeah,
you know, and then it's cooking. You know, like how many dads like I know personally, like, I love to cook. My wife won't be in the kitchen because, well, I aggravate her when I'll turn the knob up. I'll walk in and see a dial, and it needs to be higher. I'll turn it up a little bit.
Cody,
hey, this is too hot. I'll turn it down.
Yeah,
but I like it the way I like it. I'm very controlling in the kitchen, and so she stays out of it. So now you have men cooking more today than they used to.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know. It seems like the past year, I don't know, my wife's kind of took over the kitchen Monday through Friday, but I still like to get in there. And there's a couple dishes that Dad does,
Right.
You know.
So it's not just on the grill, but it's in the kitchen too.
Oh yeah, meatloaf, no doubt. Meatloaf and fried pork chops.
That's the one thing I've let my wife do. The meatloaf.
So pineapples and jalapenos, man, you can't go wrong.
That sweet.
Oh, I love it.
That
I was
spicy.
telling you earlier over dinner, man, I'm a sucker for the sweet, spicy. Peppers and fruits go together.
Even on pizza.
Everything.
we get a lot of haterade from that one.
Yep.
So so you look at like how much has changed, and you can kind of compare and contrast. It's I don't know. I feel like it's harder to be a dad today in some aspects. There's more of an emotional requirement for being a dad.
Well, it's all new too. We're facing the challenge of the technology. We touched on that, but it's our parents didn't have to deal with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't get my very first cell phone until I was 13 or 14, maybe 12, 13, 14.
Right.
So there was, a whole big influential years there, and I've got my boy hounding me on one at 9, and I think you was considering getting your boy one.
Yeah, I thought about it until he showed his tail one night, and
dude, it's
the attitude. I was like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, I think I even talked to you about that. I was like, dude, I can't help that. They's got to make that part worse. So we're definitely not ready for that in my house by no means. Respect to you though, if your kids are. Just share your secrets with me.
They just may not be watching this, right? They're a little too young for this.
Yeah, no, that. Don't let them watch it, but
But at the same aspect, that's something else that our kids face today is they can watch videos and they can see they're seeing so much more. It's at their fingertips, right?
Yeah. Pornography, dude. It's like, man, you remember? Quick little story gets to know my first girlfriend I ever experienced. Since this is raw and unfiltered or whatever, I'll do my best to keep it clean though. I'm 10-ish, give or take. My grandfather buys a green S10, like turd green S10 from a coworker, and my grandfather's very particular, so he gets it home and he's cleaning it. I mean, detailing it, and he gets to the inside and he finds an old Playboy or Hustler or something underneath the seat. Well, I kind of bust him in that or whatever, and he was, do things right, man. He wasn't,
right.
It wasn't a screw around. So it rocked around at bedtime, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking about the magazine or whatever, wondering what old Papa did with it. I'm already plotting, and he brings me out there, and he's like, "I give you, like 30 seconds with it or something. Just enjoy as much as you can." And so I'm just like flipping through, thinking, playing it off, and then he makes me take lighter fluid, and he explains how bad everything is, right? But I'm a kid, so the hell with the bad.
Right, because at that age, you really didn't know.
Yeah, so he makes me burn it. I kind of go to bed just thinking of the memories, and get off the bus the next day in the afternoon. And I put my book bag in the house, go outside, and I'm sitting on my trampoline, and I'm jumping on my trampoline, and I see a little pile of ashes over there, and it gets the wheels spinning. So I go over there and kick through the ashes, and there is an ad in the back. It's not even, good, but it's all charred and burned up. And that was my first girlfriend. I'm not sure what her name was, but she lived in my wallet for a few years, growing up.
But it was more than just a token of what you saw. The token of like a lesson.
Oh, it was nostalgic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. But now you can just like, oh, what is that? Click, click, boom, everything you can imagine. So, we had to earn ours. Right. You hear that joking
right.
about.
My dad had like all the 90s ones, the Marilyn Monroes and all those. Yeah. I remember those. They had, he kept them in a box. I knew where he kept them at. He kept years of them. He always told me, hey, I like them. I like the jokes. And then as I grew up,
I read the ads in the back.
But then there was this phase whenever I become an adult and I could actually get Playboy. Mm-hmm. It was like all of a sudden they stopped. They made it like
become obsolete.
It become PG. Mm-hmm. No, like they took the nudes out.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I still got to buy one. I can't be a hypocrite. I still got to buy.
Yeah, I got a subscription.
I got to continue my subscription. I did get a subscription one. I'm not gonna. I was in the Marines. I got my subscription.
Sure,
I was like,
no doubt.
Filled it out, and it's like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Get on my dial-up internet, and I just download what I want.
The kind of funny thing about my dad, going back to how everything was different. His mom, my late grandmother, single mother, actually just. Instead of having the talk and going through the awkward things of a single mom raising a boy, she just got him a subscription. And he was, 13, 14. She was like, you'll figure the rest out, I guess.
It comes.
It does, yeah.
But I look at some things about jumping into emotions. Like how much different do we have to be with our kids today? Emotional state, right? Like growing up, my dad was not like I don't think I ever heard the "I love yous" really, until later in life when he got older. But like as a kid, how he showed love and affection was different. And I feel like how we do it, like it's changed so much because we went to. We're having a totally different emotional state and an environment and mindset that we put our kids in than what it was when we were kids.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's I don't know that is it's real weird. Kind of lost my topic that I was going to go off of.
Yeah, I jumped from Playboy to how do you get emotions now? Because like
it's precious memories still brewing. But no, I don't know, man. I really don't know where we're at with it. But I don't think I'm as good at avoiding the bad things that I wanted to avoid as I would like to be.
Right.
Because there was a lot of good, but you try to ditch out what you didn't like growing up. And then I find myself a lot doing the same thing.
Trying to apply filters, right? Like, hey, I remember this as a kid. So, like, my dad was this way and this way. So, now I'm going to filter that out because I didn't like certain things.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to try to be, like, I want a hug, buddy. Or, hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
it's like I never had that conversation with my dad. Like, talk about how you feel right now.
Yeah. And my dad's living and breathing, thank God. But, my wedding day, the only time that I remember that I can for sure recall my dad just hugging me real tight, crying a little bit and saying, "I'm proud of you." Right. And I was like, oh, shit.
You didn't know how to respond to it. You never saw those emotions.
I was like, "You feeling all right, Pop?" Like, we're just here to do a wedding day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the only time. So
I feel like my kid, like I try to show some of those, but he he doesn't like that. Like, and I guess there's a love language for kids, just like there's love languages for
and my
married
boy,
couples.
Like, he craves it, and it's like, I kind of intentionally don't give that to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, I know you want that. And I was like, but it needs to be earned a little bit, not necessarily starved for it, but, them attaboys, they'll come when you earn them.
Yeah, that's something else I try to show my emotions. Like, it's like, it's okay to be upset.
Yeah.
And I think that's tough because it's like, we want to be like, I try to teach Lucas, like, what does it mean to be tough? And it's not so much about, hey, this pain hurts. Because now we're in this evolution where we're trying to teach like mental toughness. Mm-hmm. It's okay for something to hurt. It's okay for it to feel pain, but it's how you react to it. Yeah. That's what, to me, tough means, right?
You're going to bleed a little bit.
Blood's like you get pushed and upset and you go cry and sit in a corner. Like that's mental toughness that you got to learn and you grow to. But you start getting into, hey, that hurt, and you can use your words, or you stub your toe and you go, oh, it's like... Okay.
Not when we coached football together. My big thing with Jaden that year was, are you hurt or are you injured?
Right. There's two different ones.
Very different. Injured is what I leaned on. Is like, you can't move the leg or it hurts to move the leg. That's okay. All right. Breathe.
So at this age, we're seeing that transition of growth and that toughness, right? And it's like I went to a grandparent's funeral a couple weeks ago, and and it's like he sees me upset, and it's like that being vulnerable. Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. Yeah. But as a dad, it's like you get looked up to as you're supposed to be that. You see women. It's like when they see a guy cry, you'll hear that talk about like you want to see a room break down and cry when a guy starts crying. Mm-hmm. Like all the waterfalls just starts happening.
I remember my dad crying for the first time as a kid.
Sticks in your head, don't it?
Oh yeah, or I mean, the liquor was on, but you know what I mean. It's still, I was like, oh shit, it was like that. He does have a heart. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
And I feel like, I showed more emotions than my dad did.
For sure.
I can't imagine what his parents and the parents before them, which he and I had conversations about how he felt, pushed out and didn't feel loved or, had a tough time. His parents were really hard. Yeah. And he never really learned how to love, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And going back to the dirt floor, 2-3 generations ago, there wasn't time.
Yeah,
for emotions.
So, hey, we got cotton and pig. Yeah. We got trees to cut down. Like they did a lot on the fields. It's like I grew up. The house that he built was right on some of the land that they farmed. They put a mule and a little plow behind a mule, and that's they worked hard.
Yeah, cotton farmer.
No tractors.
No, it was by hand, and our boys at 9.
I can't get them to take the trash out.
Oh, No, we do chores, and now we fight and we fuss, but we do chores. My boy's responsibilities is trash, firewood inside, from the outside to the inside in the wintertime. Clean your room, which is our hardest one. I don't understand that one. That one's just the most craziest thing to me. And then, just general, like, hey, hey, we don't have time for this. Hey, sweep this mess up. And, not you made it, but you're going to sweep it up. So he's pretty good about that. But we do tussle.
Now, do you feel like, because this kind of moves us into like what my dad say topic. It's like when you look at how we're teaching our kids, hey, these are the chores you do. Like, do you feel like you had chores like that when you were younger, or are they?
So on my mom's side, I knew I could get away with shit. So my parents were split. I don't know if we know that yet, but yeah. So my parents were split my whole life. On my mom's side, I knew I could get away with shit. I could show my ass and get out of it. I'd rather argue than just be made to do something. On my dad's side, though, it was different. If I wanted to spend time with him, I worked. So when I came home after, 8, 12 hours with dad, and I'm dirty, and I've been sanding, refinishing hardwood floors, or I've been in the chicken houses all day or whatever. It's like, look, no, we ain't asking Christopher to do nothing. You know what I mean? But, every now and then I would chip him. Yeah, no, I was.
Because he respect you go out and work with him. He knew how tired he was.
Every day I was with him, I was working with him. I can probably, less than 10, 15 times where we, didn't do shit but go fish or, something. But, yeah, we worked. And we worked hard.
Those one of those things I strived for. It's like my dad talked about going fishing, but what going to fishing meant with him was we'd go to Gunnersville because that's where they sold alcohol. We're in a dry town. So it's like we'd make a beer run. We'd stop by the water and he'd drink a beer while we played out in the,
And, the difference, is kind of looking in the future is like we grew up in this same town.
Yeah.
And it was dry. You had to drive 40 minutes south. Hit the old Wayne's package.
Yep.
But now, when our kids get to the age, God willing, it'll be safe and responsible, and we'll put that on them. But we all know they're probably going to venture out and do stuff like that. It's just 10 minutes down the road now. So
we had a pond in front of our house, and it's like he always talked about taking us fishing, but it's like he never took me. Like my dynamic was he'd go to work. He worked hard. He's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He was an aircraft mechanic down, and so he would drive to Birmingham and work. And he'd come home a little after 5, and it was like a 12-hour, trip for him. And he was tired when he got home. It's like, and one of the things that I miss, is, and I try to look and say, how would he think about me today? And my son doesn't get it, and he will when he gets older. But it's like he wanted to go play catch with me, like. He wouldn't go out and do much work. Like my mom would take care of stuff. I'd take care of the yard. She'd take care of the yard, take care of the house. He worked. He'd come home. He'd watch the ball game, watch the Braves game. He'd go to bed, start the day over the next day. And that was his schedule. Spent a lot of time in the recliner, a lot of time in the living room. He didn't really work. He worked on the cars off and on, change the oils. He taught me how to change the oil. And, and that's a basic skill that I'm yet to really show my son. But changing the oil, and he wanted to play catch. And I'd go out in the yard in the starting T-ball season. It's like, like I'm getting soppy-eyed, my because I just lost my dad. And it's like, we're going to play catch. And it's like, that's a big memory. And I regret I don't spend enough time playing catch with him. Yeah. You don't think about, like, what would you miss most? It's the phone calls on your birthday and going to play catch.
Yeah. And as far as, the fun things, I don't make enough time for, but I just probably like to do with how I was raised is working all the time, Little short story example, my wife, her hair care products and curly hair clog the bathtub drain about once every 2 months, 3 months. So I come home from work, and my flathead, and I'm like, all right, dude, this is that, this is what you do, this, and then I'm just grilling him on it. And I haven't had the opportunity to do this yet, but, my thing is that was good quality time. It taught you something that you need to know because, dude, that saved you a $200 plumber bill whenever that happens to you in 10 years.
Right.
So my expectation for him now is the next time mama clogs that up, y'all got, a few little screwdrivers in the drawer, handle it. And when I get home, it needs to be handled. And some people may say, well, he's 9 and that's too soon. But it's like, hey, when I was 9, at least I'm showing him first.
Right, yeah,
you know,
'cause
instead
you
of
know,
just
and it's-
expecting him to just figure it out.
Yeah, you know, as he gets older, I think our kids will look back and they'll remember that, right? It's like you
I
know,
hope.
which whenever I was changing the tire, you know, I helped your wife with the flat tire, right? And it's like,
Thank
hey,
you for
yeah.
that
So
again.
I was like, hey, Jaden, come here. I want to show you this, right?
Yes.
It's like I want you to be a part of this, even though like he's not doing any of the hardest stuff. I want him to feel like he participated. I want him to see it, understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and like, hey, be careful of this. You know, don't get hurt here. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Make sure you do this.
Yep.
Because one day he's gonna maybe be in that situation, and you don't change a lot of spare tires, you know. But maybe he will one day and remember, hey, there was a lesson I learned from somebody.
And that's something that I've spoke on. But you know, when he turns that age, then we'll cross that bridge. But I hope I stand by it, is, you know, you don't get a set of keys until you can change the tire.
That's a good way to look at it.
You don't get a set of keys till you can change the oil. That's just
Is-
something
you know. Sometimes
need
I
to
wonder,
know.
you know, is it one of those things? Is that for you or is that for him?
Both.
You know what I mean?
Both.
Because it's
Don't
like,
call me at 3:00 in the morning with a flat tire with you and your girlfriend, and you're done late for curfew. And
Right.
don't put me in that boat, son. You're gonna make your bed. You're gonna lay in it. You're gonna get you and your girl home. You ain't gonna have to get daddy involved. You're gonna explain to, you know, her daddy, and that's the man you're gonna be.
but it builds that trust that you know that when he's safe, he can take care of himself. He can
Yes.
take care of the situation.
Yeah. And I'll touch on that too. And I hope my brother does it. I have one blood brother on my mother's side. He's a half brother. But anyway, she told me one day, and I can't remember the scenario. She said, Christopher, he's different than you. I didn't have to worry about you the way I have to worry about him. And it was something, you know, it's probably, I don't know if memory serves, like a flat tire situation.
Right.
It was like, dude, you could have got out of that. But, you know, he's the baby of the bunch, and they nurture him and stuff, and I love him for it. And he's a great kid, and he's becoming a really good, successful young man. But point being is he didn't have to go work every single day. They didn't make that a priority as like my dad did. My dad would, you know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you coming with me? You staying here? If I want to see you, I guess I'll come with you here. I'll get up.
Right. Yeah, you had to.
All right. Yeah, I'm here for the weekend. Yeah, I'll get up. You know, summertime. Yeah, I'm here for the week. Yeah, I'll get up, hang out with you. And hanging out, man, working your ass off.
Right. And it taught you a lot of work ethic, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But I think it's detrimental too. And if I can find it for just a second right here, I think maybe we're skipping something. Cody, I don't know. You keep up with it better than me. But hard work. It was a bullet point I wrote down. If our dads saw the way we parent today, hard work and respect. It was, you know, twice today somebody's commented on me eating fast. And I'll tell you what I told him. It was, you know, I eat fast because if we did stop for lunch, it was Dad's clean plate slid over and he's sipping on a to-go tea, staring a hole through me.
He's ready
because
to go.
we got shit to do.
Yep, we got time to sit here.
Yeah, why are you tasting it, son? Get it in you. Let's go. And
right.
So now here I am, almost 30, and I inhale every.
Whether you got time to kill,
and you know the Marines,
it's ready to
you
go.
Eat fast because you ain't got time.
You shovel it in.
Yeah, that's me for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny those things that you pick up from your parents as you grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my mother hated how much I ended up like my daddy. I mean, I think she honestly despises it. The grassroots run deep.
But you know, there's like, you know, my dad wasn't my blood father. You know, he wasn't biological.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you learn a lot from him, you know. And it's funny because, like, you know, y'all sound like y'all busted y'all's tails together a lot.
A lot.
And I just watched my dad bust his, right? So I watched what work ethic looked like, and you actually lived what work ethic. You know, spent a lot more time with him. And you know, and I look back, and it's like, you know, when I talked to my dad a little bit before he passed, and you know, and it's like he kind of said the same thing to me. It's like, you know, he wasn't as worried about me as he was like my sister. Like he's like, you're gonna be fine, you know, and it kind of get jealous because, you know, you get told like, oh, we're not worrying about you. You know, they're not putting the attention on you; they're putting it on the other one because, well, this one will be okay.
And without explaining, you know, it's like, hey man, maybe just my stance, I would have maybe took. Maybe I wouldn't have took it, but you know, outside looking in is if he would have took the time to explain to you the difference between a man and a woman at the time,
right?
Is because you know me, dude. I'm a firm believer we're built different for a reason. A boy doesn't need that attention a girl needs. You got to learn to be neglected a little bit. It ain't gonna be fun.
But you know, I've got friends. I got a good friend. You know, like he's a successful businessman, and his brother's in jail.
Yeah,
you know, and his sister's in jail, and it's like. Choices. you know, and as they're grown adults, it's like you see that a lot. It's like that same. Every family seems to have that same situation where it's like, hey, I'm not worried about you because you're okay, but I got to worry about so and so.
Yeah.
You know, then as a I've got 2 kids. It's like, how am I going to treat my kids differently when they get older? You know, how do you treat them equal? You know, my wife's a single child, so like that's a totally different dynamic.
For sure.
My wife and me, you know, like the way we were raised, siblings, like she doesn't understand how siblings can like argue with one another and like, how do y'all like each other? And then at the same time, like, hey, you know, you're a piece of crap. And then the next minute it's like, hey, you know,
they're killing over one another. Yeah. Don't touch him. Yeah. I'm the one that whoops his ass, not you. Yeah.
So, but you know, it's you know, at the same token, you know, like, do you ever have that conversation with your dad? It's like, hey, do you think does he ever give you that feedback of how you think he thinks you are as a dad? Does he ever reflect his parenting to your parenting?
Yeah. And so my dad being a hard ass he is so, you know, like Knox will do something a little small and I'll kind of take my hat off and I'll swat him on the ass with it. And so the only reflection I get is the nod of approval whenever I spank my kid.
He's like, okay.
Or I'm like, hey, watch your mouth or something like that. He's like, mm-hmm. But as far as like, hey, you're doing great. You know, Knox is well behaved. Jaden's well behaved. I don't get a lot done. We don't talk like that.
Right.
I'm here if he needs me.
He's emotionally closed, right?
Oh yeah, very. He's stonewall.
But and then like I feel like I'm more emotionally open to Lucas.
Oh yeah, tenfold compared. If we're comparing tenfold,
it's like I don't get it for my dad, so I'm going to do it for my son.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would like to be, and my wife would want me to be, but at the same time, I just feel like there's some negatives that come with that as being a man. I don't want to set you up for unrealistic worlds, son. You know, I'm pretty honest with my boy. You know,
something I didn't really think about until just actually thinking about it in this conversation is, you know, we're sitting here talking about how we get treated differently as kids. And it kind of goes to my next point. You know, it's like, you know, what's different on how we parent our kids? You know, when I look at my first child, you know, think about how much different we talk a joke about like, hey, our first kid, we do it this way. And our second kid, how much, you know, less we do this or how much more we do that. You know, it's like, you know, when I think about it, I've never really thought back of saying, hey, they had to learn with me and then they had it different with her, you know, because I'm not the youngest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
you could put, you know, you got 2 grounds to stand on. You got boy and girl in the age gap. I've got 2 boys in the age gap, and my personal struggles with the age gap, since that's all I've got to stand on, is my oldest was a single child. The world revolved around him. He plays 3 sports. The world still revolves around him, whether he sees it or not. But there's jealousy that comes with that.
Right.
And, you know, where I do expect more from him as far as, hey, what's your tone in my house?
Right.
What's your respect level? You know, Knox is 2. He has no idea of social structure. He still thinks that when you piss him off, he can punch you in the nose, and he will.
Right.
But he's 2. He hasn't developed that yet. And Jaden's 9, and he hasn't developed the understanding of there's a big difference. But, you know, he can't take the trash out. You can't.
Yeah.
When he can weed eat, he'll weed eat. And when you can, you can.
Yeah, so, hey, I need you to pick these toys up. It's like, well, they're not mine. I didn't get them out.
It kills me, dude. It kills me. No, you pick them up because we live in the house.
Yep, we're a family. We help each other out.
Yeah, yeah.
But
they're like, I have a bedroom, you have a bedroom, but we all share a living room. You know what I mean? So,
but, you know, there's so much little stuff. Like I think about like with Lucas, like trying to learn how to hear him cry. You know, dealing with the tears, things like that. Like I can handle Kinley crying so much easier. Like it doesn't bother me near as bad.
Kids crying don't bother me. The senseless whining, you know what I mean? And I think the reason that bothers me maybe so much is because my wife, it really bothers her, just the sound of it. And whereas it doesn't matter to her if it's for, you know, because I'm in pain or because I don't get what I want.
Right.
I see through it. I'm like, if you're in pain, I'll address it.
See, I've gotten to ignore it better. Like, I hear it. Yeah. It's like, you know what? I'm not getting up for that. I'm not going to go move for that because it's going to stop, and I've learned to filter it. Whereas the first one, I'd be like, Lewis, stop, dude.
And that's where the toughness comes in, I think, is like when you ignore them when they're 2. It's like, I bumped my toe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Laugh about it.
No, I know when Knox falls,
exactly.
I laugh.
So you've learned to parent
for
differently and cope with things and teach coping. And I think that's what makes different kids so much different.
And I miss that with Jaden. So, I think that's probably why we butt heads a little bit now, is where I want you to be like, okay, start noticing those differences. I wasn't there to make you notice those.
Right.
And there was a lot of women in his life, and, man and women are different. They coddle and nurture. We,
right. So like my family growing up, it was a lot of like screaming, arguing, it was chaos.
Yeah.
The sheriffs knew who I was because they showed up at my house. Like now, if that happened today, DHR would be taking me away.
Yeah.
I would have been in the system.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, okay, they're
80s
fighting, they're
90s,
arguing.
baby.
Hey, we're just going to leave you there. The kids, hey, you're not going to hurt the kids, and then they'll figure it out. And
they'll sort it out.
Hey, go to bed. Wear
they
it
love
off.
each other.
Yep.
They'll be fine Monday.
We'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's like I got kicked out of dare class. Like I'm one of the I brag about it because I'm a rare
Sure.
Not many kids get kicked out of dare class. I had to sit out in the hallway and do parallelograms while the other kids learned about drugs and alcohol. It's like I know all about that. I'm growing up. I see that. Back when we had phone books. And
I got a bachelor's in the streets.
Yeah. It's like I know all about it. I'm good. And I talked to. I was in Cracker Barrel one day and I seen the SRO, that Buddy, I think his name was Buddy or something, kid. I forgot what his name was, but I was like, hey man, it's like, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I do. And but he's like, I wasn't worried about you. He's like, I could tell. I was like, I wasn't worried about you.
No.
And he knew what I grew up in. But to me, I see a lot of kids that you see bad family, or troubled families. Not necessarily bad, but you see troubled families. Sure. And they're not well off, and their kids grow up not well off, and man, it's a toss of a coin. They're going to go one of two ways. They're going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to be totally different," or they're going to get stuck in that path.
Yeah. And I had to dabble in the lower realms. I would say that we were middle class, no shy of the hours put in that it took to do that. But it's like when you see the kid and he got the same pair of jeans on all week,
right?
I'm like, yeah, bud. And then you go and spend the night with those kids, and you're like, okay. It's like when Lucas first spent the night with me or whatever. I think I mentioned to you, I was like, the boy's in for a culture shock. You know what I mean?
Right. Because like when I spent the night with other kids, and like I didn't have money. I grew up in some really, okay. I had good shelters. You get some decent places, some mobile homes and
it wasn't leaking into a bucket or something like that. But
right. And I'd go visit some friends' houses who. Man, it's
apartments
like their parents would cut like cigarette butts. Like they cut the filters off because they didn't like the government putting filters on their cigarettes, so they cut the filters off. But there'd be like 50 filters from the pack of cigarettes they were smoking that day, just laying all over the floor. And it was filthy.
You remember finding the long ones? Yeah,
and they'd have a dog. Their dog would like shit in the corner, and it would stay there, and they wouldn't clean it up. It was just like it was disgusting.
Yeah,
but like my best friend, man, I was over there all the time.
Yep,
no big deal. Hey, this is normal.
Eating dinner like it ain't no thing.
Yeah. One day, his parents were going. I remember we went and found like it was probably a big sirloin, like a little pack of sirloin. We were hungry, so we put it in the oven, turned it on broil.
Too.
Oh,
see, that's what's growing up poor. You know what to touch and what not to touch. Don't get that last Dr.
We were
Pepper.
hungry.
Yeah. So,
make some Kraft macaroni and cheese at night at 2 a.m, man. Like we knew how to do it. We were 13 years old. We can make mac.
I had a friend that I spent a night with a bunch growing up. Like I'm talking adolescence, our boys' age.
Right.
And if you got tea, ooh boy,
you get in trouble.
Touch the fucking tea. And it's like they made tea too. So now that I'm an adult, I'm thinking that cost you
a lot of money.
Like 80 cents to make. No, I'm talking they made tea with tea bags and sugar. Right. I'm thinking, and now I'm adding it up, and I'm like, dude, that was like $1 a gallon of tea.
It's not even that. You could buy a thing of tea for like $2. It's got like 36 tea bags in it, dude. Yeah, sugar's $2 or $3. And
don't you get caught drinking that tea?
And now our kids are grabbing like $2 20 ounces out of the fridge.
But I do remember at 2 o'clock in the morning, we were in there at the fridge, like, shut the fuck up. And we're splitting one glass because we didn't want to make any noise. Oh yeah, good times.
So much different. Yeah. I'm gonna jump into our toy section here.
Joys, y'all need some?
So
comment if you need a toy.
So, this is totally just really changing directions here. But changing the way growing up, I remember playing with certain toys, and now the certain toys that we have today. But man, when do you lose control of your house? Like Like
First birthday.
You hear the noise in the background. I think I've lost control of my entire
First birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it all goes to shit. You know, any room you thought you had is now gone. My son's room, I don't think you've been able to walk into it since. So I wrote 12 to 16 months, and 12 being the starting point. Everybody and their dog buys toys instead of buying diapers, wipes, etc. So if you are watching this and you have a family member, do the dad a favor and buy the shit they need.
Not Play-Doh.
No, man, not Play-Doh, not hard plastic toys.
You know,
stepping on Legos, dude, it's over. It's shit spilling out into the living room. There's no cleaning up.
Before I was a parent, I thought Play-Doh was something you could get that was cool to give to somebody. Like, hey, like, man, this is so cool. You look at Play-Doh and it's like, man, I'd love to have some Play-Doh. Then all of a sudden it's like, dude, I hate Play-Doh.
We have no carpet in our house though. So.
Even without, like, even upstairs, like, it's,
is it a problem?
Yeah, it's like you got dried Play-Doh. Like 5 years later, you found some Play-Doh that was like dried up in the corner somewhere. But even worse, now they got kinetic sand. And it's like it makes such a mess, but the kids love playing with it. Yeah,
Jaden had a little bit of a run-in with it, but it was designed really well, so it never become a problem. But I'm not I hate textures like on my feet. And it's a miracle because my wife's the only reason I wear house shoes now. Before that, I don't know how I lived, because now if I get those little sandy feet, I'm like,
hate it,
going crazy.
So as a kid, I look back at some things I did that tortured my family, and I look at like my kids today. It's like, dude, like their tablets. I make them put their volume on low. I don't want a loud tablet. Their TV in their rooms has got to be a certain volume. And then all the stuff, like I've learned to start taking batteries out of things. But like my living room area, it's toys, and it's like it just scatters everywhere, and I get so frustrated. But at the same time, it's like,
how about the 4:30 in the morning when you're stepping on stuff and waking the house up, or tripping? Yeah, or you kick something and it just sounds like an avalanche. Yeah, I hate it.
But they say that we're gonna get older and we're gonna look back and say, man,
that's what they say.
We're gonna miss that.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss that. And
I believe them. I do believe them. And it's funny you mentioned that, because that's, I don't know, I've been in a little slump this week, probably past 2 weeks, but mostly, anyway, point being, we're going to kind of sitting there in my recliner and looking around, and the house is a fucking wreck. I mean, just destroyed. And then I think about what you're talking about. There's like, one day the pitter patter and the toys, everything will be in its place, and you'll be like, shit.
Because they say kids are going to hate. They're going to hate. They're going to start moving away from toys at 9 years old.
That's about right, I think.
So it's like they're going to quit playing with things. They're going to start looking at, just more video games, or they're going to want something that's not a toy. Yeah. It's like, dude, like 9 years. We got a life average, between 70 to 80, 90 years old now. And it's like a tenth of that is quick.
Yeah.
And
I think about that a lot with my parenting choices. Is, they say, oh, well, he's only 9. Oh, well, he's only 2 in this. And I think you're doing your kid an injustice, because, like you said, in 80 years, a childhood is this much. And yeah, it is precious and it does need to be nurtured. But this much compared to that much, there's a big difference. So hey,
right.
Let's not worry so much about the feelings and the things. Let's teach. That way you're prepared for the long stretch, because that's where it's counting. I don't know. It's probably a controversial topic.
Right. That. Well, it's like, I struggle. It's like, because like how important really is it really that big of a deal that there's toys scattered everywhere? No. You know what I mean? It's like I've learned to really kind of change that expectation. You know what I mean?
I can live in a wreck, bro.
Like I think I said this last episode. Yeah. Expectations are emotions, right? If you expect your house to be spotless and to look like you don't live there,
you need to.
You're going to get emotional. You're going to get pissed off. You're going to get frustrated. I'm tired of picking this up. I'm going to throw it away. Yeah. Which is a funny story. When I was a kid, I was in an apartment in California, and Long Beach area. My dad had worked. We worked at the C-17 was working to get built. The first one built in I think, 90, 91.
Okay.
So I had a Lego set, and it was like a castle set, and I was playing with it, putting it together. It's like, dude, like, as you know, I love Lego, and I've got some
old, cool ones over there.
Old Lego sets that I put back together. But it's like I had this whole like remember it's like a horse and like some kind of carriage that went with it, that some kind of old knights, something another. And my mom was vacuuming. She's like, "You need to pick it up or I'm going to throw it away." Well, you know what I did? I threw it away for her.
Smart ass.
I was like, "I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll clean this up."
I
remember going and making trips to the
she
garbage
left
can.
it in the trash can too, huh?
I think so.
Yeah. Good on
I
her.
look back and I was like, dude, I think I had, as I grew up, like, gosh, I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old.
Good on her. Shame on you.
Right?
Yeah.
But, now
sure.
if I seen my kids throwing Legos away, I was like, you asshole. Like, I would, no. Like, I paid for that. That's money.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I wonder if she'd take it out of the garbage, but I think she left it there.
No, I don't blame her, dude. I probably would have left it there too.
But like I let my daughter, my son's had all his stuff in our living room. He grew up a little bit. Now my daughter has all her stuff in the living room. I think it's also a way for me to enjoy being in the open room.
Yeah, from blue to pink.
Yep. And I can be in that room and all her stuff is there, and that's where she wants to be, right? Like I feel bad excluding her to her room because I think when I was a kid, all of our toys stayed in the room.
That was our rule.
Yep.
That or my rule, yeah.
There was no toys in the living room hardly. We'd play in there every once in a while. But we kept them all away.
Yeah, when you was done, you take the shit back.
Yeah.
Hey, don't leave that on my floor. That's, your room is your stuff. That's where your stuff belongs.
Now, I bet they regret doing this, but I remember getting a keyboard for Christmas.
Oh, I bet Jake's got a keyboard, but I don't ever hear it.
But I didn't have a stand for it. And I'd learn something. I'd go in the living room where my dad's he's trying to watch a football game.
Yeah, put on a concert.
And I was like, Dad, I want you to listen to this. I hit the play button. And you start hearing the, just for sound effects here, it's like, you start hearing I'm over here, like I got the music going, I'm hitting the keys.
Overstimulated TV's going, the wife's bitching. Right. Yeah, here we
I'm
are.
over hitting something, and it's like, I'm just hitting it. I'm making noises. I'm making stuff go. I'm hitting beats, and it's just like, it's like
chaos.
I probably annoyed the shit out of him.
Oh, you did. Because mine do me. No doubt. It's a kid thing, dude. You're wide ass open, especially as a boy. You're wide open. And then as a man, it's like, you're starting to get a little tired. You can probably speak on this more so than me, but I'm creeping on 30. And it's like, hey, I'm thinking about what Sally Joe said at work.
Right.
Like, did I do something wrong? You know what I mean? I'm thinking of it. And then the TV's going, old lady's bitching, baby's crying. Oldest is in there with a keyboard.
That's
and
the
next
sound
thing
of
you
life.
know, you've got that 1,000-yard stare that I hear the military folks talk about and you're just like, damn. It gets to be a lot.
So do you got any spot in your house or in your area that, hey, this is my spot?
Not a damn one. The yard in the summertime, I love mowing the yard, and I hate. I don't know if you've heard this, it's probably a Southern saying, but it's like, you know why them old men got the big yards, don't you? So they can go mow it. That's why. That's
their escape.
Yeah, so I've got like a little less than an acre, and like half of that is yard. And, I've got a nice riding lawnmower and stuff, and it's like a 52-inch. I can mow my yard. If my wife watches this, I'll be in trouble. Anyway, I can mow my yard in about 12 minutes.
Nice.
It may take me an hour to mow my yard.
The first
I may hit it this way, and then you know what I mean. Just really make sure she's gotten good,
right?
Just to have some me time. But no, I don't have no escape.
I had this conversation with a guy at work where it's like, what kind of yard do you have? Like, are you he's not like a white New Balance tall socks out keeping his yard back, but he's got people in his neighborhood. He's like, yeah, these guys keep their yard clean. It's like. That was kind of one of my things. Like, I started getting the yard. It's like, I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to mow it this way. I'm going to see if I can put stripes down it.
Yeah. I haven't got to the stripes yet, it's like oblong.
Right.
So it's like, hell, how do you do it? I don't have a square edge to go from.
Right. I don't think my equipment can make it look that way. But, I play around with it, and I was like, hey, how can I do it? But, like, dude, I've got a lot of yard to mow, and it's like, I'd like to get it done as fast as I can. But, I look back, it's like, that's an escape.
Yes, no, it for sure is, dude. Oh, man. You get some earbuds in, a little cold drink, because the Zero Turn's got a cup holder.
And then the wife steps out on the porch, she's with the baby in the arms, like, look, there's Daddy mowing. And it's like, I get that glaze from her, the gaze from her that's like I'm doing chores right now. Like, you can't get mad at me.
Oh, yeah, no. Dude, it's a no excuse. Hey, baby, look, we're going to get ticks and rats. if I don't get this yard mowed, we're going to be overrun with mice. You know, come winter, they're going to move in and they're out there and I got to take care of it. This is for you. This is for you.
Dad's got to do what dad's got to do.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But
mowing the yard. But weed eating is such a bitch.
That's one thing I'm looking forward to is like, hey,
Spray
Lucas,
it, baby.
you're going to, I weed eat like twice a year. One of the things that, growing up, like we always had the cheap weed eater and like it never worked.
Uh-huh.
And I bought one year and I mowed with it and I said, I'm going to go get me a good weed eater. And now every time I go get my weed eater, I can pull it 2 times and it's crunk up.
So I think every man goes through that at some point because I remember going through the yard sale weed eaters, dude.
Yep.
And you're always adjusting the carburetor. You're always, and it's just always. So I finally, and me and my wife just had moved in. I don't even think we were married yet. I was like, look, I'm about to go spend some money on a weed eater and a small chainsaw.
That's like $200-300 you'll ever spend.
No, I bought steel. Steal or go home. Fuck Husqvarna. Fuck Husky. Yeah, no. And it's paid off. So, no, when that time comes and our boys can weed eat, I do believe that we will get a little respect because I know my yard is it's a chore, man, especially in the June sun. So we kill the hell out of it.
I like to get I'll put a tank on the back of the 4-wheeler. But like the in-laws got me one of those old tank sprayers. Throw some weed killer in there, and I'll drive around the house, around the pasture.
Yeah. So
I'll go up and down the road and spray it.
I trusted Jaden to understand ratios, and I highly doubt they've went over that in the 3rd grade. But
just pour a little extra in there.
Oh man, a little extra hell, dude, like a $200.
Yeah, he probably does the same ratios with weed killer we do with whiskey, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, well, maybe not as heavy, but yeah. So the weed killer's expensive, man, but it's worth it. Weed eating sucks. Can't wait till he comes in sweating, covered in grass.
So what's the worst? I kind of talked about like the keyboard my dad bought. And like I'm sitting here thinking like, what's the worst purchase like I think I've bought as a dad?
4-wheeler.
The 4-wheeler for real?
Yeah. And you want me to tell you where it is? My cousin's house.
Because he never uses it.
He don't have the opportunity to, and I knew it going into it, and I probably bought it just because A, he wanted it. B,
you wanted
I found
one
a way.
Kid,
I had the stuff, but I never rode it. And come to find out, I caught shit for not riding my toys.
It's like it circled
but
back around.
But I was working. So like my thought was, now that I'm grown, is like, dude, I was wore out. Hell, I didn't want to go ride, know, and do this. But I always had the option. I just chose not to. I wanted to hang out with Dad and do what he was doing. But no, the 4-wheeler, man, we've already cleaned the carburetor out on it, man. It's
still not running right, or
no, it's running. Well, last we cleaned it, it ran great, but it's at my cousin's house. We don't have the land necessarily to ride it on. I gotta transport it, and then sports, life gets in the way. So it's not that he don't want to. It's not that he want or that he won't. Time,
right?
And time and resources. And so it was like really, it could have waited till we got another property.
Right.
It really could have waited.
Now you have it. It's like, I'm sitting here trying to think like, what have I bought? Sometimes I wonder like, I really pushed getting into like a PlayStation was where I wanted to go. Like we can play that because we could do that,
Sure.
play together.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I've like pulled him into that so deep. Mm-hmm. Now I've already got him there.
No,
I can't get him back.
Thing, your boy's a video game guy, but
he
you're
can play
a video
good.
guy. You're a technology guy, so I mean, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing.
It's like I tried to create that symmetry there, try to make something that he and I can associate with.
Yeah, and I loved video games growing up, but now as an adult, it's like I don't have time for them.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, so it's like where my boy he wants the VR headset, dude, and
it's cool for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and spoiler, if you have kids, don't let them listen to this part. All right, mine found out about Santa Claus this year, and
I don't know. I'm torn on which one. Where mine's at.
Just warning. Look, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, look, and you got kids, we're about to say
this is where you hit pause.
Yeah, we're about to say it in 1, 2, 3. Santa is not real.
I still got here, so
yeah,
you got to,
Yeah, fair. But So my boy's like VR headset after he finds this out. And I just hit him with like, look, dude, cuz, let me tell you. I was like, we're not playing this. Oh, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. And then you get it, Chris. Don't get your feelings hurt. I'm not buying you that shit because you're not ready. It's like, I'm just being as real as I can be with you. And so that was a little bit of a culture shock for him last year. But yeah. I don't know, expectations and emotions and whatnot, as you say.
Right.
Set them up.
Well, from the viewers on like say YouTube that we're putting this on, I'd be interested to see some comments of what some other people have said. Hey, this is probably the worst thing I bought for my kid, and what they regret. And I'd also be interested to hear some funny stories about, hey, where's the weirdest part you may have found a toy.
For sure.
It's like your wife a minute ago, she pulls a chicken out of her pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I want to do something fun, something new. We're gonna add to it is a would you rather, right? So
I love it.
So I'm gonna start with the first one. I'm gonna ask you this question: would you rather step on a Lego barefoot every morning, or have to listen to a Baby Shark on repeat during every car ride? Every time you take the kid to school, da 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 da.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Lego, dude.
The Lego,
because I've been there. I've been in both, and I know enough about like little, constant aches and pains.
Right.
Is you'll get used to that. You'll get used to the Lego. You'll be like, shit, 5:45 in the morning. Here we go, and you'll eventually just grunt it off. But I don't think you can grunt off Baby Shark after a point. I don't think you can.
That or Coco Melon, right?
Oh man, it's
all right. Pain. We haven't read through these, so these are gonna be a surprise reading through them. So number 2 to me.
Well, you got, would you rather only be able to wear New Balance dad shoes forever, or always have a fanny pack strapped on you? Easy.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with New Balance.
Yeah,
like in the Marines, we had New Balance.
Dude,
they call them Go Faster,
shoes.
Right? Yeah, they got color on them now.
You know what? There's a reason.
They should have said all white.
There is a reason,
right?
And it's because they're fucking comfortable.
But all those numbers, like you have to get your foot fitted. There's certain foot types for each.
That's true, man.
Now I sound like a dad nerd. Like I'm over here. I know what the New Balance numbers mean.
Yeah.
You just got to get the right New Balance number.
And Skechers is coming up in the game too.
Right.
I'll add that.
All right. So would you rather have to assemble IKEA furniture every weekend, or spend an entire day on the trampoline park with 20 screaming kids?
I'll take the park.
That's fun.
Park.
The park is fun.
Park. I can have fun at the park. IKEA furniture is a bitch.
Right.
And it's cheap and it sucks.
They want you to use the hand tools that come with it.
And you're putting it
together.
Yeah, but you're putting it together knowing that this thing's going to fall apart in 3 weeks.
Yep.
3 weeks is going to have a damage to it. And it's useless. There's no reason even to put it together.
Right. What's the next one we got?
Let's see. Would you rather never be able to nap again, or to have to wake up at 5 a.m. every Saturday for the rest of your life? Easy.
That's a tough one.
Easy.
The older I get, the earlier I like to wake up.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the older I get, I'm going to have to nap. But I'm going to skip, I don't know. Which one?
I don't nap. Dude,
I'm up
I'll
pick up the 5
every day.
It happens. Yeah.
Dude, it's every day. It's an internal clock.
All right. So would you rather have your kids ask why after everything you say for a week, or have them call you by your first name instead of dad? That's a weird one. When your dad say that, whenever the kids say your name,
I hate it.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I'll put you on the spot. I hate it when Lucas does that to you. Well, I did so good. If I would have called my dad, this is going way back. We probably should have talked about this on the first topic. If I would have called my dad or my mother by their first name, they would have jacked my shit.
You've earned your title as dad.
Yeah, and you will address me as such. So help you God.
Number 6. Which one do you got for me?
6. Let's see. Have your child's favorite stuffed animal talk to you at night? Yes. Or have their favorite toy randomly start playing music at 3 a.m.
I would rather have the music.
It's
get
a
played.
poltergeist either way.
Yes, when you start seeing an animal,
yes.
like Lucas got this little monkey.
Either one
and
you're
it
going to go
scared,
with. You need an exorcism.
You want to scare some kids? You want to scare some kids? You start getting some talking toys,
Yes.
That will scare you.
Man, I tell you. And in a room where nobody's been for 3 hours, it's just let the weight shifts in the toy
random
box.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No, yeah. Kendall's all hard on that one. She's like, we're ready to move out. Every time.
Well, guys, I'm going to throw one more out there. I'm just going to jump to number 10.
All right, let's do it.
Relive potty training all over again, or have to teach your teenager how to drive.
I haven't lived through either.
I'll tell you what, potty training sucks.
So with my oldest boy, I met him at 3, and I've wiped his butt twice. On the second time, we learned.
Well, on that wiping the ass note, guys, I want to say thanks for tuning in. I've enjoyed it. It's been a fun episode. I look forward to.
Had a blast.
And so we'll keep doing this. We'll have a lot more episodes, man. I've enjoyed it. Cheers.
Yep. Stay classy.